Changing moon. Earth has one large satellite. It's called the moon. The moon completes one orbit around Earth every 28 days. One complete orbit, so one time around, is also called a cycle. The moon is the second brightest object in the sky. It shines so brightly that you can see it even during the day. But did you know that the moon doesn't make its own light? The light you see coming from the moon is reflected sunlight. Sunlight reflected from the moon is what we call moonlight. The moon is a sphere, meaning it's round, three-dimensional round. When light shines on a sphere, the sphere is half lit and half dark. It doesn't matter where you position the sphere, it's always half lit and half dark. The same is true for the moon. It is always half sunlit and half dark. The half that's sunlit is the side towards the sun. The half that is dark is the side away from the sun. The moon's position. The moon never looks the same 2 days in a row. Its appearance changes all the time. Sometimes it's a thin sliver, crescent moon, and sometimes it's completely round, full moon. Why does the moon's appearance change? The sun is in the center of the solar system. The planets orbit the sun and the moon orbits the earth. So we go around the sun, moon goes around us. It takes 4 weeks for the moon to clear around earth. The first thing to understand is where the moon is during those 4 weeks. Let's take a look from out in space. We'll start the observation when the moon is at position 1 between Earth and the sun. The moon orbits Earth in a counterclockwise direction. After 1 week, the moon has moved to position 2. After 2 weeks, the moon has moved to position 3 on the other side of the Earth. The moon has traveled halfway around the Earth. After 3 weeks, the moon has moved to position 4. It is now 3/4 of the way around the Earth. In another week, a total of 4 weeks, the moon has returned to position 1. It has completed what they call the lunar cycle. Look at the moon in each of the illustrations, and you'll see that the sunlit side is always towards the sun. It doesn't matter where the moon is in relation to the Earth. The moon's bright side is always towards the sun. The moon's appearance. The shape of the moon doesn't change. It's always a sphere, like a circle. The amount of the moon that is brightly lit doesn't change. Half of the moon is always lit. What changes is how much of the sunlit half is visible, how much we see from Earth. You might see just a tiny bit of a sunlit half, so a crescent moon, or you might see all of the sunlit half, full moon. The shape of the visible part of the moon is called a phase. So let's look at the phase of the moon in position 1. The moon is in between the sun and the Earth. When you look up at the moon from Earth, what do you see? Nothing. All the sunlit half of the moon is on the other side. This is what's called the new moon. The new moon has no light showing. The new moon is shown as a black circle. So let's move forward 2 weeks. The moon has continued in its orbit and is now in position 3. Now what do you see when you look up at the moon? The whole sunlit side of the moon. This is a full moon. The full moon is shown as a white circle. Now let's look at positions 2 and 4. At both positions, you see half of the sunlit part of the moon and half of the dark part of the moon. At position 2, when you look up at the moon, the sunlit part is on the right side. Turn this book upside down to make sure. At position 4, the sunlit part of the moon is at the left side. Position 2 is a first quarter moon. Position 4 is a third quarter moon. The lunar cycle. The new moon is invisible for 2 reasons. First, no light is coming to your eyes from the moon. The sunlit side is on the far side. Second, to look for the new moon, you would have to look right into the sun. The glare is too bright to see the moon. 3 days later, the moon has moved into its orbit and is visible. The first sighting of the moon after the new moon is a tiny sliver of light. The curved shape is called a crescent moon. On day 5, the moon looks larger. About 1/4 of the moon is now bright, so 25%. Each day, the bright part of the moon is a little larger. We say the moon is waxing when it appears to grow. By day 6, bright sunlight covers almost half the face of the moon. This is the last day of the waxing crescent moon. Tomorrow the moon will be as the first quarter moon. The first quarter moon is the phase seen on day 7. The moon has completed the first quarter of its lunar cycle. Viewers on Earth see half of the sunlit side of the moon and the half of the dark side of the moon. The brightly sunlit side is on the right side. On day 9, you can see more than half of the sunlit side of the moon. The moon appears to be an oval shape. The moon phase that is larger than a quarter but not yet full is called a gibbous moon. Because the day 10 moon is still getting bigger, it's a waxing gibbous moon. On day 11, the moon is almost round but not quite. It is still a waxing gibbous moon. Viewers on Earth can see most of the sunlit half of the moon. They can see only a small sliver of the dark side of the moon. Can you see the dark crescent? On day 14, you can see the whole sunlit side of the moon. This is full moon phase. A full moon always rises at the same time the sun sets. Each day after the full moon, the bright part of the moon gets smaller. Getting smaller is called waning. On day 18, the moon looks oval again because it's still between full moon phase and quarter moon phase. It is still a gibbous moon, a waning gibbous moon. On day 21, the moon has completed 3/4 of its orbit around Earth. The moon appears as the third quarter, again, half bright and half dark, but notice that the bright side of the third quarter phase is on the left. Compare the appearance of the third quarter moon to the first quarter moon. As the moon starts the last 7 days of its orbit, it returns to crescent phase, so smaller than half. But because it's getting smaller each day, it's a waning crescent phase. By day 24, a viewer on Earth sees just a small part of the sunlit side of the moon. A lot of the dark side is visible again. On day 28, the moon has completed one lunar cycle, meaning it's gone all the way around the Earth. It is back to its starting point. It is new moon phase again. The night sky is motionless. The day sky has no moon. For a couple of days, viewers on Earth are out of touch with the moon. Then in the evening sky, just after sunset, the moon reappears. It is a thin silver crescent, and if you're in the right place at the right time, you could see something special. It's the bright crescent on the edge of a dim full moon. It's called the old moon in the new moon's arms. You can see a bright crescent moon and a pale full moon at the same time. When the moon appears as a thin crescent, it is almost between Earth and the sun. A lot of light reflects from the Earth onto the moon. The whole moon is dimly lit by Earth shine.